Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV. I'm back with another review, and this one is of You, Season 4, Episode 7, Good Man, Cruel World. If you like the show, like, comment, subscribe to this channel. I'll be doing a review of all the episodes of the rest of Season 4 and Season 5 coming next year in 2024. So let's just start with the review real quick. This was a pretty wild episode as always. The twists are pretty much turning, and there's so much stuff going on basically each episode. And I like this episode. It started out kind of slow, but it did get sort of better over time with the way it ended. So this episode starts with Joe and Kate. They are going on a walk for their first date, and Reese, they basically sort of get to know each other and stuff like that, and that whole honeymoon phase. Reese wants Joe to kill Tom Lockwood to so he can get an office and supposedly make the world a better place. So Reese pretty much feels that he'll be making the world a better place by getting Tom Lockwood, which is Kate's dad, up out of here, so he can also get into office. So he wants to use Joe as sort of like his human gun, I guess you can say. While on the walk, Joe asks Kate, what will she be doing, the next day? She has a long pause. Then she says she will be going to London and her father will be coming into town. So she's trying to sort of get out of his way, not really meet up with him. Joe really hopes that he doesn't have to kill her dad like the way Reese wants him to. So he's really trying his best to sort of avoid having to do that. And also, Kate is just trying to simply avoid her father altogether. Nadia feels Joe is Nadia feels Joe knows something. She's basically spends most of the episode really just snooping around trying to figure him out. She feels something's off about him. So, every season of the show, You, is always somebody seem like they're just snooping on Joe, trying to figure him out, because he's always trying to cover his tracks. Joe is a very cunning character, but there's always going to be somebody that, is going to spot him and figure him out. That could be how the show is going to end, possibly. Somebody just finding him out and bust him out to the world, and that's just the theory I have. The way I have the show might possibly end. Anyway, so Joe can't find any type of dirt on Mr. Lockwood, so that's going to make things kind of difficult for him in order to him to sort of get him out of here. Joe has to redirect Nadia, who is pretty much on to him. Nadia comes to his office in this episode and questions him about different stuff, and he can already kind of spot her, so he has to find some way to redirect her and sort of get her off his trail, even though pretty much this episode she's just snooping around, really getting to know him more, getting to know his past and stuff like that. Joe and Kate decide to have dinner with her father, Mr. Lockwood, Tom Lockwood. So there's that. And as soon as they meet, pretty much Lockwood lets Joe know that he knows his real name. It is not Jonathan, it's actually Joe. So that really sort of just sucks all the air out of the room, that he's pretty much not able to hide himself as much as he thought he would. Lockwood spends the dinner basically interrogating Joe, and Joe is trying to figure out what Lockwood knows on him and Reese. Joe decides to give his daughter his museum, for her artwork and all this other stuff like that. She's so shocked by it that she decides to just leave the table. She doesn't really know how to process that, so she just up and leaves and go to the ladies' room, I guess. And him and Joe talk about Love Quinn, basically. That there's that whole situation going on. He knows his history with Love Quinn, so that kind of shocks him too. That not only does he knows his history, he not only does he know his name, he also knows some of his history, basically, which is ironic because early in this episode, Joe was trying to find information on Lockwood, but Lockwood was already finding information on him. So, look at that. He questions Joe about if he killed someone, and Lockwood says, "Don't hurt Kate, or you'll see my real side." So basically, this guy seems like he's going to be a new future antagonist that Joe is probably going to have to deal with once Reese gets out of here. And this guy is a lot more powerful, so this is pretty interesting. This guy might be a possible future villain if he doesn't die or leave by the end of this season. So it's pretty interesting. He's dealing with somebody a lot more powerful than him, Joe. So I kind of like that. Then he says he knows Reese and his plans with his what was it he had again with his memoir, and wants Joe to give up information about Reese to him. So that's basically how this dinner date goes. Joe decides to use Lockwood to put Reese in prison. So pretty much during the dinner table, in a restaurant, Joe decides that he wants to work with Lockwood in order to get Reese out of here. So sort of the enemy of my enemy is my frenemy, as Joe would say in this episode. Joe is paranoid. I mean, Phoebe is paranoid after the whole stalker thing going on. So she's just completely paranoid, and she's talking to Kate about the whole situation. Adam seems to be semi-homeless. He seems like he's lost everything from the previous episode, and he wants to reconnect with Phoebe. And their whole relationship seems like it's just a complete mess, and they look like they are completely awful for each other. A match made in someplace lower than hell. They don't look like they fit together at all. But these two are, I guess, are sort of supposed to be comic book relief, I guess. But yeah, they don't look like they go together at all. A match made in toxic love, I guess, or whatever. But anyway, so Joe finally decides to plant a hidden camera and ends up inviting Reese over. And I thought he could have done that earlier, but he decided not to. But as soon as Reese comes in, he ends up finding out that he's being recorded, and he finds out about, and then he ends up letting Joe know that he knows about Marion and she's also being held. He is told to either kill Mr. Lockwood or basically, I can't even pronounce her name, Marianne Zaganer. So he ends up forcing him to decide that what are you going to do? Are you going to take out Mr. Lockwood within the next 24 hours? Or Marianne is going to be pretty much put on a t-shirt. So there's that. So it sort of, forces Joe to really sort of think of a quicker plan to get out of here. And as you can see throughout the series, Joe is always thinking of some type of cunning plan to get out of every situation he's in, which makes his character very interesting and unique. I love the character Joe. Kate tells Joe that it wasn't her dad who was the one that ended up giving the kids cancer through that pipeline situation. That it was actually her. That happened when she was a teenager. She accidentally gave these children cancer, and Joe basically sort of tries to tell her that she was just a teenager and she didn't know, trying to sort of not make the situation seem as bad as it basically came off. After the talk with Kate, Joe sees he is conflicted on, whether he should kill Mr. Lockwood, end up hurting Kate, or should he basically try to avoid it and end up possibly risking Marianne's life. So he's very conflicted. While talking to Mr. Lockwood, Mr. Lockwood pretty much says that he believes Joe killed Love Quinn, but he also sort of figures that Love Quinn is probably a cuckoo. So basically, sort of he seems like Joe killing her was sort of justified. Lockwood knows where Reese is and where his home is and wants Joe to kill him. So Joe decides to sort of work this into his advantage, and Lockwood tells him of his address, and Joe goes there. Adam and Phoebe, they ends up deciding that they want to get engaged. Kate clearly does not agree with this at all, and Adam knows it, but he's real sneaky, I guess. So Adam is probably my least favorite character of this season, outside of that other guy that was rivaling with Joe a few episodes ago. I forgot his name already, but yeah, basically those characters, most of all these snobby characters are clearly unlikable, but that was their point, to be unlikable. So Anyway, so Nadia ends up breaking into Joe's apartment to spy on him and to find information on him. While there, her sort of somewhat pre-boyfriend, I don't know what this guy is, friend or something, I'm assuming boyfriend, whatever, wannabe boyfriend, sends her photos of Joe, basically that I believe Reese took, and she ends up finding more information on Joe to the point where she ends up going to this abandoned building. Joe finds Reese's home, and he sees that he's arguing with his wife, where his wife speeds off. And Joe ends up going to the house, and he sees Reese, and they finally meet up face to face. It seems like Reese doesn't know who Joe is at all, and Joe breaks in to his home and ties him up. So Joe asks Reese where Marianne is, as he basically sort of tortures him, almost like a little bit of Casino Royale type of torture going on. I personally, when I first saw the scene, I thought that Reese was some type of twin or something like that, because he just clearly didn't know who Joe was. And Joe ends up getting furious and ends up going out of nowhere and choking the crap out of him and ends up killing him. And then we do find out that Reese does actually have a twin. Unless if Joe has been completely paranoid and completely schizophrenic and killed somebody else he thought was Reese, he ends up killing basically Reese's what looks to be twin brother, doppelganger person or whatever. So there's that. I guess also that was Tom Lockwood's way of setting Joe up, also possibly by having him kill, knowing that Reese maybe had a twin brother or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see obviously next episode. That's a theory of mine. That probably most likely Tom Lockwood was trying to set Joe up by having him kill Reese's twin brother, possibly. But there's that. And then while in the abandoned building, Nadia ends up finding where Marianne is in a cage. And the cage that she's in is very similar to the cage that Joe's other lovers have been locked up in. So it's almost like this guy, Reese, is almost like a more evil, twisted version of Joe. I don't know if he built this cage himself or well, clearly I'm guessing he did. So this guy's like a sort of a evil version of Joe, obviously, which is pretty interesting to have in this season. And yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode. I don't really have too much any theories. I just clearly want to see what's going to happen in the next episode. But yeah, this was a really wild episode. I don't have much else to say about it. It was pretty wild. I never thought that Reese would have a twin brother, but or some type of doppelganger, or as they say in a Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know if this guy's a variant of Reese, but yeah, I was not expecting that. But yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode. My personal theory is that most likely Lockwood was setting Joe up. He probably knew that Reese had a twin, possibly, so he decided to have him kill his twin. Maybe to set Joe up in some type of twisted, backstabbing type of way. But I don't know. This episode was really good, though, and I gotta say I like it. So, anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you like it for all things you. I'll be doing a review of the next episode coming up, and doing a review of everything that deals with the show You. So, like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and thanks for watching Netflix's You review.